Okay, I'm gonna try to start again with this. I got out of the energy, so I'm gonna start completely from scratch, and we'll see how that goes. Completely from scratch. Okay, hold on. Okay, can you see these? Okay. Okay, I will move this over slightly. Okay, so you have the Hermit card here. This is actually more like this. So you have the Hermit card. And I want to do it completely fresh. Okay, well, what I was talking about was there being this idea of like either a future and past self or a potential and current sort of self, or a ideal and like actually capable self. Like there's like this sort of opposition, contrast that takes on all of these different levels, but ultimately both are equally as valid. And that was essentially the point that was being made. Also, that in another, that was like the metaphor, or the like more general message. But there was also this message overlying that of somebody like feeling found out, essentially, or feeling called out, feeling confronted, and in a way that it made somebody extremely uncomfortable. And then there's also like an aspect of this being the way one perceives themselves. There being these contrasting concepts of self, of one being, oh, I'm a victim, right, and one being, I'm king of the world, sort of idea. So yeah, that was all right. And I was talking about like imposter syndrome. So like this card, the Queen of Coins, in the image itself, it's depicting like this marriage of two heads. And like I said, like there's like this feeling of like, you know, there's a positivity attached to anything. It's not like a snake is innately negative, but there is a lot of negative connotations innately attached to the like the idea of a snake. So it's interesting because even as I'm saying that, like I'm thinking about how we are in the year of the snake, according to the Chinese calendar, and that's a representation of transformation, of embracing change, of growth that way, of like perception of self, of having to really rely on one's inner core in order to move forward, being able to swallow things whole and then process them, like being able to take on a certain amount more there's a lot of positive qualities. You also see like in their dress is like weaved together, and sorry, cat was plucking at the window. Like their dress is like weaved together, and that like has this idea too of the same sort of thing where it's like these two weaving together. There's this idea of them being intricate, being complex, being sophisticated, and that building, it's not just for looks. It builds like these beautiful geometric patterns, but that's not just for looks. It's also for like durability, flexibility, continuity, sustainability. So there's a lot, it's like, you know, there's a lot of depictions in media of reptilians, reptile-like aliens or whatever, being essentially crude and savage because of the qualities that they have. But like this is like a take that on reptiles, that like they're the one animal that shares a third eye with us. They're the only other animal that has a pineal gland. Other mammals don't have pineal glands. Birds don't have pineal glands. For as much as I know, I'm pretty sure that reptiles are the only ones that do. And so there's this idea of like them being, you know, it's not just cold-blooded, like, oh, so negative. There's this idea of like the adaptability and the independence despite the community, and just like the capacity for self-sustainability. That's really admirable about these snakes, and that like the two heads of these snakes is speaking on a sort of duality that way. But like I had mentioned before too, there's this baby frog on them. The sky is so pretty right now. It's super sunny right out here, but like stormy looking over here. I love that. Yeah, and there's that duality. There's like this baby frog that's looking kind of concerned, that's sitting on their lap, and it's almost like this idea where it's like, because it's not that snake's baby, right? And it's like this idea that it's weird, because as I was thinking about that, like the Queen of Coins, I'm pretty sure that this is what the Queen of Cups looks like in the normal Rider-Waite tarot. So it's weird that it's the Queen of Cups, or that it's the Queen of Coins here, because the Queen of Cups is like this. No, that's in this deck. Interesting. What does the Queen of Coins look like? Okay, hold on. That's interesting, because it's two snakes in a trench coat, right? It's two snakes in a dress. And they have this frog on their lap. And like, the frog is in the place of the pentacle. The frog is what is valuable. The frog is the bread, not just the breadwinner, but like the bread. It is the pentacle. mean, it's a snake. Like, a snake's gonna eat a frog. Which makes, I mean, these cards are, and I've mentioned this before about the Adventure Time cards, is that they're, like, uncommonly creepy. Like, they end up always being very weird and dark, despite the fact that the cards themselves are so colorful and friendly and nice. But, like, in this image, there's all these, like, birds and flowers. There's bees. There's a snake. There's bunnies. There's all these plants. There's all these different things in the card all around the throne. That's kind of like, Chico, I really wish you'd quit. Quit. That's like denoting like, oh, it's springtime and everything's coming to life and there's this abundance and everything's so cheery and peaceful and pleasant. But like the focus is kind of on these two snakes looking down at this frog. And the frog looks nervous. And then it's like thinking about this idea where it's like they're looking at this frog like, you're the prize. Like, you're the prize. You're the end goal. But in a way that's making the frog nervous. And it is kind of like, I've been thinking a lot about that idea lately. That was in, if you ever saw the movie Sausage Party. I'm not going to recommend it, but if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. Or like, spoiler alert, but they, jump ahead fucking a minute. I'll skip through it. But, all of the groceries, live in the grocery store, and they're all looking forward to being purchased so that they can go to home. They can go home. They can finally have a purpose and be put to use, but they don't really understand that, like, they're all just going to be eaten. And, like, all of these, like, vegetables and hot dogs and shit are all looking forward to going home. And they get bought by somebody, and they're all, like, worshiping these people like they're gods. And then they go home, and they think that they're in heaven. And then they get, like, thrown on a chopping board and sliced up and then thrown into a stew and, like, turned into a broth. And, like, it's all just, like, absolutely horrific. And, there's... It's really, really, really fucked up. And it's just this idea that, like, don't do it. Cheeto, you can be in the window without plugging it. Cheeto. I don't know what to tell you. I love you, but you cannot be doing that. So it's this idea of, like, it's so fucked up, but, like, having your hopes set on something, like, high, but, like, it being delusional and being, like, I bet everybody believes it, and it makes me feel really good, and it gives life purpose, and it helps my kids listen to me better, and, it, just, like, gives structure to society, so it just, like, seems super valid, and, like, it is super valid, because everybody's believing in it. Like, it's super valid, because, like, it is plausible. That doesn't mean that it's what happened. Like, it's one of those crazy ones where it's like, imagine being in court and the offense, I don't know what you call it, the main argument is completely made up. but it's something entirely plausible based on the evidence at hand, and you can't prove anything otherwise. But like, it's really literally not true. You just can't prove otherwise. This happens all the time in different ways, right? And it's just like that sort of idea where like there's something that's being presented as like essentially being the same thing, or being something specific, but it's really something else, or the intent behind it is different than what was being presented. The perception. Okay, so what is being conveyed, or what is being at least like received, is that like, oh, I must not be thinking of myself clearly, or I must be doing something wrong, or I must like, there's something I gotta be doing wrong that I gotta change, that I'm thinking of, and gotta kind of change my perception, and I have to change, and I have to compromise in order to see this clearly, or in order to like be in alignment. But what's really happening is that there's something, someone, some situation, some energy in between. It's not in between, but like in somebody's idea of themselves, or it's so like close in somebody's family, somebody's close personal relationships, like a close partner, or a best friend, potentially like a really close boss, maybe a career choice, a lifestyle choice, an identity choice, like that sort of idea. Something super personal that's kind of gotten in the way, where it has a predatory aspect, where this person has a predatory aspect. They kind of tend to view this innocence, or this happiness, or this pleasantry, or this abundance, youth, some sort of innocence is being like perceived by this energy, and it's being projected onto this lack mentality, and being received by the lack mentality, and then projected then onto the, that's the system of how this is working, is that like it's coming from something external, or potentially internalized, but originally external, but it's coming from something outside of oneself that is actually separating the concept of oneself into these opposing sides. And the opposing sides are have one with lack mentality and one with an almost arrogance, and the one with the lack mentality is jealous towards the one who's arrogant, because the one who's arrogant is also ignorant to the plight of the one who is in lack. And that ignorance isn't just a naivety, it's an actual like, I just don't care, or at least that's how it's being received. And this energy is like, which is like reasonable and empathetic, and I'm empathizing with this one, but this energy is showing me that like what's actually happening is that there's this other energy that's using this like double-sided energy, this double-sided entity, this double-sided thought process, perception, character, whatever, to harm this through using this. And that the only reason this one is in this hermit mode is because they're jealous of this Nine of Coins. And, like, that's really coming out in the fact, like, these cards were kind of like this, but coming out in the fact that this is the Nine of Wands. This is the Nine of Wands, and this card has a picture where, like, the guy is, like, made out of snow, and he, like, lives amongst all of these trees, and the trees are on fire, but, like, he can't go stop the fire because there's this dog, who I'm assuming started everything on fire, because the dog is made out of fire. So everything's got on fire because of this dog, but, like, he's trying to be nice to the dog, so, like, instead of kicking the dog away, he's just letting the dog melt his leg. And it's this idea of, like, being like, oh, everything's getting destroyed, and, like, I have no control, and, I'm losing everything, but then just letting it happen, feeling helpless against it. And it's almost that, and because this was under here like this, like, it's almost this idea, it's under it like this, too. So, yeah, it's really, yeah. Well, that kind of almost puts them in the reverse. Hold on. Because that was like this. Okay, so if those were in the reverse. Now, that was important for me to have brought up them having been neither in the reverse nor in the upright, regardless. What I'm seeing right now is that you could read these two in the reverse and this one in the upright, based on this positioning. And in that, it's this idea that, like, these aren't, what's the word I'm thinking? Like, solidified character qualities. They're adaptive. They're, what's the word? Okay, so, like, that's the difference between, like, a disorder, and not even just a disorder, the difference between a disability, a disorder, and a syndrome. A disability means that you can't. A disorder means that a disability means that you can't because you are physically incapable of it, whether that be mentally, emotionally, or, like, biologically, like, physically, that way. Wait, what is it? Sorry, I just got distracted in my room. I just got home. And then, okay, so I don't remember what I was just saying. I'm so sorry. What do you... I wish I could rewind this. And there's 3. Shit. Okay, well, hopefully that'll come back to me because I literally had 2 other full points and I just lost all of it. I don't know what the fuck. Okay, these are in the reverse though. So it's this idea of, like, these being, they're not really from us. They're ones that we took on. They're, oh right, the difference, and then so between a disability and then a disorder means that it's out of order, but there is an order for it, and it can be in order. It just needs to be serviced properly and needs to be cared for properly and probably reprogrammed properly, and then it'll work. So it's not that it's innate and it's built to be a certain way. It's just that it's innate in its experience or whatever. It's something that you can fix. A syndrome is when it is the effects of, and, like, it becomes part of the identity or part of the characteristics, part of the qualities, based on the fact that it's that it's something experienced that way. But like, a syndrome isn't reflective of a person's like physiology or their psychology as much as it's of their adaptability. Like, when a syndrome is like, can come and go, and it's just like almost like a person has a certain proclivity towards certain syndromes, but like there are certain syndromes that almost anybody could get if they were in a certain situation, or that certain types of people are almost inevitably prone to get under certain circumstances. So that's what I was saying. So it's almost this idea of like it being like that, to the point of trying to create a disorder, to the point of it disabling a person. Like, it's literally trying to create this process in order to destabilize a person. But it's like not having gotten to that point. It's having gotten to the point of actually establishing a disorder, but not have gotten to the point of disabling a person. And the reflection here is that that process was initiated through the tactic of disarming a person emotionally in their vulnerabilities to the point where they just feel like they can't protect themselves. They feel like, oh, what I consider valuable isn't important. What's important is how other people feel, and prioritizing other people's feelings, or even some random dog's feelings that's literally destroying your house over protecting yourself, and it's like these people, or this idea, or this this concept of self, or whatever this is a reflection of, are able to thrive. It's this energy that's always thriving off of its vampiric capacity to be able to put this person in this energy. And this is how they do it. Or like, this is maybe just one specific plot. I'm seeing that this isn't just one person. Because what I'm seeing right now is that this like little red berry, the way that this little red berry looks, right? Looks like all of these little red flowers. They almost look just like the berries. I know it's hard to focus on it. But it's almost like there's been a whole bunch. This is just one. This was the next one that this person caught on. And maybe they didn't catch on, but like I said, it's like the man who knew too little. Like, they got involved in a way, but like they were able to remain somehow parallel to these in a way that continued to reflect on these a certain way. And it's funny because the first time I had a reading where this card came out, the Queen of Coins. There was a very specific energy that personally came to me, and it's coming to me again, even reading it right now. And that was months ago in a totally different situation. So like, that's interesting for me. So maybe there's a person who, maybe there's someone who was significant to you for a time, but more based on like, okay, so let's say that it was like there was somebody that you worked with, for instance. This doesn't have to be the case, it's very general, but let's say that it was like there was somebody that you worked with that like, because you worked with them, they were not somebody you normally would be friends with, but because you worked with them, you became friends with them, and you guys got along great, and you would like hang around on your lunch breaks, but like, that's not somebody you normally would get along with. Or like, it's somebody who you normally wouldn't be interested in romantically, but because you work with each other, or because you happen to see them all the time at the same grocery store, and like you guys get to know each other just because you keep seeing each other, or like, you know, that sort of idea, or like you're both jogging in the same park or whatever. It's something super mundane like that, but like you, what was I saying? How is that regarding to this? That you you normally wouldn't feel something for them, but you do. I don't know why my shit keeps just like getting like zapped out of my head. My brain, I just keep like completely blanking out. Hold on. So there's this energy of like, it's almost like using, I don't know what I was talking about before, so I'm just going to keep moving forward. Sorry. I keep doing that. I don't know what to tell you. The soul reading has been weird, and it's already been like 2 hours long. I'm thinking that this is really, it's representing one person who is portraying themselves two different ways. And both of the ways even have this like dualistic way of portraying themselves that automatically like makes them sketch, and because of that, like it makes it like, oh well, then you're not really gonna question that person, which is funny because like, yeah, like I like get that a lot. Like there's like, I'm weird, but not like, I don't come across as like aggressive. Like I'm not like intimidating. I'm not like people feel comfortable with me easily. Like so like even though I'm weird, I'm not offensive that way. Or even if I'm offensive, like people still like me. Like for some reason, like I'm not like aggressive that sort of way. Where like I'm not like perceived as a threat at all. Where like a lot of people would be. What am I getting at? I'm so tired of myself being like this. Jesus Christ. I don't know why I keep doing this. Okay, there's this one person pretending to be these two different ways. But these different ways also have this thing. So it's like being that way. But like it makes it like this person has this vibe of like people being like, okay, they seem off, but then like there's something about them that covers for that too. Where people are like, well, maybe they're not off. Like it's probably just because of this thing or just the way that they are, right? Where it's almost like if somebody like, you know, it's not that this person doesn't have a valid excuse, or at least a perceivable valid excuse for being a certain way, but they're using that as a cover for having this plot against this person or these people. They've been doing this, and this person just happened to fall into this plot. And I say plot because of it being this progression. There's this idea of like trying to disable this person like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and then that to cause them to move them into a disorder, into an actual like physical state of not being able to care for oneself, and being destitute in that actual way, and this being a plan in the way that like it's happened so many times before, and it's been we take from this person of this abundance where it's like they're not at the 9 of coins yet, and like I think that this is being perceived by this person that like they're not at the 9 of coins because they're an idiot. If I had all of what they have, I would be well off, so I deserve all that they have, and I'm just going to take it, and I'm not going to tell them because they're an idiot and they're not even going to know any better. And like I've done this to so many people before. Like I already know that it's true, and I know just by like being able to tell by a certain type of person. I see certain things and I can be like, oh, okay. So I can know that that person is like basic. They're too dumb. They're not gonna understand what's going on. So this is safe. And the point is to be able to take from this person of this abundance in order to give it to this frog. And the point is that they're trying to fatten up this frog so that they can eat it. Like that's the worst part about it, because it's not, this frog isn't their baby. This frog is their future dinner, and it's this idea of like it's not fulfilling enough yet. Like I remember my ex making a joke one time that is not funny, and he was not technically actually joking, but he made a comment that was he made a comment that was technically a joke, but wasn't technically funny. That he would put a life insurance policy out on me and take out a hit on me in order to get me killed, but a life insurance policy on me at the time was only worth $20,000, and that wasn't worth what it would cost to put a hit out on me. So unless I was worth $50,000 of life insurance, I wouldn't be worth him killing. Which wasn't a funny joke, by the way. It's kind of like that idea too. Like people say that shit, but like they're actually doing it, and people are insane. And like, so many people want to watch those true crime like documentaries or whatever type things, and be like, oh my god, like that's so crazy, where it's like, oh my god, and there's so much of it where it's like there will always be endless amounts of that shit happening. That's literally how human beings have always been. Just because we have certain things written down in history or like recorded on camera does not mean that that's the only times that it's ever happened. Just because it's the only time we've ever heard of it, ever experienced it, does not mean it's the only time it's ever happened. And people are fucked up and doing a lot of fucked up shit all the time, and a lot of people are. And what's so crazy about like what I've been finding in general readings, and I guess maybe why I haven't even been like bothered to like, this is something I like to do, this is something I was being called to do, but like I haven't even been bothered about like not being so consistent on it, just for the fact that like how general readings have been feeling to me lately is like they just take on this energy of like, okay, you could be talking about anybody and it'll be saying the most fucked up shit, and it'll be talking about like, okay, but I'm talking about somebody that literally tried to kill you, and I'm like, right, like who are we talking about? And it's like, well, somebody that like you could potentially even like fear would come back, and it's like, I mean, I got some PTSD, I don't know, people have come back years and years later, like acting crazy. Wouldn't put anything past anybody at this point, especially just given everything I've been through. So like, I don't know, sorry, nobody stands a chance. But yeah. So there's this person, one person, pretending to be away. They could even just be pretending to be away. They might not even really fully be like I'm getting the vibes of somebody being like disabled to some degree, whether mentally, physically, financially, and that not really even being the case. But they're using that as a way to gain some sort of favor. And it's really all this plot in order to get, essentially to rob or drain, either to physically rob this person, these people, a specific type of person or a specific type of person, of a specific person, place, thing, quality. In order to fatten up this frog that they will eventually eat. It's like giving this like circle of life vibe. It's like this person almost like, this person that's doing this like, it isn't like some like monster who's like being super manipulative and crazy. Like that's what people also like to see when they watch those murder documentaries or those true crimes or whatever. They're like, oh my god, this person's a monster. But it's like, no, that's just what human beings are like. Like, that's the pill you're not wanting to swallow. Is that, like, that's literally what people are capable of. That's what people are like. Like, that's what happens in a sick society. That's what happens when, like, we aren't addressing the actual issues at hand in our society. So, this person's just, like, capable of exploiting these different things and is exploiting these different things and has been doing this. And maybe this frog has been a part of it, but like unknowingly they've been affiliated for their own, like they're about to be victimized themselves the same sort of way that this person is. Or maybe not the same sort of way, but they're about to be victimized themselves. Where like maybe they thought they were one of them, but it's actually a reptile and an amphibian, not two reptiles. So I think a lot of people think of frogs and snakes and lizards all the same, but they're all different. Well, lizards and snakes are technically both reptiles, but frogs are amphibians. And toads. And toads. What do you think about that? Okay, so that's what I'm getting from this right now is this person using this other person in order to gain access to these people in some sort of way almost. Or like, not necessarily, but this person using this person, having this plot, using this plot in order to do this. Everybody's just part of it. I mean, everybody's a part of, like, being victimized by this plot, essentially. Where did my other cards go? Oh. Okay. So what I want is to use a different deck now. I've taken these out along with these, and I just want to see. I'm just going to shuffle these like this. I want to see what the fuck. Okay, thank you. I say what the fuck. This fell just between my legs. I literally just caught it between my thighs like this. So I'm picking it up like this, and I'm going to turn it over facing me like this. I'm not looking at it yet. I'm going to turn it over facing like this. And the thing is that it's on its side. So that's the way that I'm going to read it, though. It's on its side. Okay, so we got this one like this. What did I say? What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, we have trunk. I put it there. So the base of trunk is at the base of trunk is right where the beginning of this Nine of Wands is. The base of the Nine of Wands is. And the base of the Nine of Wands is like the beginning of the curse, right? And so it's almost like in the roots, so when you're doing root work in voodoo, when people are trying to curse people using black magic, they do root work, and that's like working on the core of a person, like your inner root, like the thing that goes deeper, that goes just past who you were. The thing I was talking about earlier with that preemptive aspect of being able to solicit empathy even prior to technically existing. That's the root that is worked on when it comes to that type of magic. So that is where this energy is, okay? But the energy itself is trunk. And the trunk... Okay, what I'm seeing is that the trunk is pointed off in the same direction that this person and this plan and these people and this whole situation are from the Nine of Coins here. So this is like the top of the tree, right? This is the branches. The trunk is right here, and it's unaccounted for thus far. And these are the roots. But what's actually happening too is that in the way that this is laying, this up here would be the branches, and they're unaccounted for because this is the new trees trying to be created out of this root. And here's the trunk, here's the root, but then the actual root work is being done here because interesting. Okay, wait. The actual root work is being done here because we haven't completed here. In the same way, this is the root, this is the trunk, and this is the branches. Okay, wait. The root, the root, I put it here, but I think I can put it here. Because it's a triangle. Oh, but then this is coming off. But that's because it was a separate plan. And so the idea... Sorry. Actually, I think this can go here. It just needed to be precariously placed. Okay, so this is the trunk between here, but it's also here at this root, because this is where the beginning of the root work was happening. Okay, so this person is trying to siphon off of this person, essentially trying to recreate this person, maybe stealing their identity in order to... It's stealing their identity through creating a fraudulent identity that makes this person look bad in order to benefit from whatever they're receiving. So, like, it would almost be like as if this person, like, pretended that this person was disabled and that they were claiming the benefits from having to care for this person, even though this person isn't disabled and is out taking care of themselves and is totally fine and has nothing to do with this person. This person is saying that they're taking care of this person, or maybe that this other person is taking care of this person in order to gain the insurance benefits. And what they're saying is essentially like, oh, this person like is mentally disabled, this person is physically incapable of being able to do something, and that's why we have to take care of them, and that's how they're getting their benefits, and this person is just like kind of blissfully unaware of that. At the same time, this person, there's an eye on this trunk. This person isn't actually so blissfully unaware. They are blissful, but they're not unaware. It's funny because even like these eyes too. There's a squirrel on the trunk right here next. There's a squirrel right next to this trunk, and the squirrel has its eye, its face to the side, so you can see its one eye, and then you can see the trunk's eye, and it almost looks like a face looking at you, but through the two of them. And so it's this idea too, where it's like being able to see beyond what is being just received. Being able to kind of move and be able to be aware of these things. And I think that this person is unaware of that capacity. I need one more for the end goal. What the end goal was here. We already know that it's the branches. So it's like essentially going to mimic the 9 of coins. And because they're taking from this energy and this is what they're creating. But actually what it is that this is what they want for the 9 of coins. This is what they were hoping for ultimately, so this should actually be a pretty negative card. What they're hoping for ultimately, and they were hoping to snake and to be able to swap destinies this way. To be able to take the abundance that was promised for this person through the certain work that they had done, and a certain process that they had built up, and by putting them into this position or by claiming them to be in this position, they could place them actively in a certain position of destitution, which we will get to, and become them, essentially. So maybe they are like creating like death certificates saying that this person is dead, or maybe they've actually killed people saying that this person is dead, and then claiming their life insurance or whatever like that, right? Life insurance policies. It's something like that. Oh, right, like you mean like what I was just talking about. People are like, this woman's obviously insane. How can she just bring up that her ex literally brought up killing her for a life insurance policy, and then not even think about the fact that people will kill people for life insurance policies when she was just talking about how this is real and people really do that shit. The thing is that I'm insane. So I'm not trying to be it. I just deal with it. And then I make everybody else deal with it. Okay, so what was the intended goal? What was the intended goal ultimately? What is all of this supposed to cultivate into for this person? For the 9 of Coins. What did the Queen of Coins want for this 9 of Coins? Oh, also I would like to point out that the fact that, okay, because that's interesting. These are both coins, right? So I'm just noticing that we're talking, about these, and so these are taking on that different life than these ones as well. But these are both 9s as well. This is 9 and this is 9. So there's 2 9s. So there's this idea of something ending in order for a new beginning to happen. A process ending and it moving directly into a new process. Or a process ending that also then ends a process on top of it. Kind of like, if there's like something that's like folding and it like grabs something with it as it's folding that begins to fold with it, but that's just part of the process. Okay, so what? Okay, 2 cards fell out and they fell out face up. Up. Okay, I have journeys and air. They fell out just like this. Okay, so wait, what I got right off the bat was really just morbid. It's like I want them to take journeys into the air. Like I want them to disappear. I want them to dissipate. I want them to fly away. I want them to like be done away with, essentially. Is what I initially got. I also got this idea of like to be unsure of one's journeys, to be uncertain of where to go, what to do, where one is, which door to go through. Yeah, there we go. To be uncertain as to which door to go through. Sorry, I'm just going to pick my nose in front of y'all. One is more appealing because it's more comfortable. It's more known. These hands are reflecting each other. They're the same. And the door in this hand is open and has shorter stairs and just goes right up into the door, right into the hand, which is like pleasant seeming. Where this door has a gate in front of it. And then it also has all of this space behind it and these multiple, like, almost doors, it seems like, behind it. And it has this windy stairs. It just seems more difficult, potentially. And you're not sure of the reward there. So it's like creating this uncertainty of one's path and one's destiny, while this one can be certain and living within one's abundance. And so coming into that imposter syndrome, it's that idea too, where it's like fighting between this. Sometimes I feel like I am so undeserving. I haven't worked hard enough. I haven't done enough to deserve this thing. I can't just, eat a snack right now when I haven't been productive today. You're going to think I'm lazy and selfish and that I'm not giving you enough of my time because You know, how could I just be sitting around and not doing anything and I'm just going to snack? Like, I obviously have time on my hands. I might as well be giving it to you. Like, there's a deep trepidation about those types of things, which is so stupid. But, like, so it's that sort of idea of, like, it being a hindrance and, like, it coming to this, like creating this whole identity that revolves around, like, compromising oneself in order to appeal to all of these standards of other people on oneself. And then, like, there's this abundance waiting for this person, like, where it's just, like, just recognize, like, you already have it all. Like, you're good. Like, if you could just have even, like, a shred of the confidence that, like, so many of these people have, that like, is generally unfounded, like, you would succeed in any of these things. But you have to be willing to kind of succeed in any of these things, and you have to kind of make that choice and move through those things, and it's kind of just like floating around in the air. This air is in between the two, so it's kind of like keeping them separate, where it's like feeling like in this hermit mode that it's like, oh, there's too much of a chasm between where I'm at and where I want to be, that, like, I can't even traverse it, so I might as well not even try. When ultimately it's not logical thinking. It feels logical, but feeling and logic are not the same thing. It's kind of what we're talking about this whole time too. There's like a math of things that actually breaks down, where sometimes, like, in order to go forward, the best thing you can do is literally take a couple steps back. Because, like, if you keep moving forward, you're gonna fuck your shit up. So, like, it's this idea of balance and having this idea of bothing that I always bring up, where, like, it's not just the one thing and the other thing. It's this contrasting complexity of both of those things having their own duality, and then us having a third person relationship to those things through our experience, and that being extremely valid on its own. Like, the experience, it's not about the two things. It's not about the duality that we're experiencing it, or even how we are receiving the duality, which in of itself is its own duality. It's about the experience itself, that we are doing that. That we are doing that is the point. And it's almost like this quality, or this, like, whether it's a person actively performing black magic in order to get you to feel a certain way, or it is a literal mental illness that makes you tend to be or a syndrome or a disorder that tends to make you be a certain type of way, or you know, a situation that you're living in where, you know, whether it's because of work or because of a romantic relationship or because of a living, you know, like your landlord or whatever, like, that you're choosing to be a certain way and compromise yourself. Like, there's an energy that would love for you to compromise yourself and to remain uncertain and to stay in this negativity about these things so that you can't reach your destination, which is this abundance, so that they can claim that abundance. Because as long as you don't succeed, you won't be setting the bar any higher than they're able to set it. They're setting the bar for you by keeping you where they are at, by pulling you down and keeping you where they are at. They're keeping the bar from being set higher than they can reach, which is just a matter of perspective and perception on their own. But if you have locked into the capacity of being, if you unlock this level and can overstep this, then you're learning what they're not able to learn, which is this capacity to be able to overcome this thing. And this is the thing, that this is where they're stuck. And in their karmic cycle, they've probably been stuck here for thousands of years. And you're about to level up. And so it's this feeling of like, all of these energies are now magnetizing themselves towards you because they've already been here thousands of times. And they see you doing it. And they know you're going to do this thing that they haven't been able to do, and they're watching it and they're waiting, and it's almost like, is it going to happen? Is it really going to happen? I just watched a video today that was a guy finally learned how to play the Dragon Force Through the Fire and the Flames on Guitar Hero, And he finally did this part like perfect, and he was so proud of himself, and people were making fun of him because it's like, dude, this dude's like 30, and it's like, okay, so obviously never touched a titty. Which is funny, but at the same time, like, I admired it because I do think that it's like, that it is a show of intellectualism that way, but yeah, it's also like for a video game, because other people were like, he could have literally been like applying this into the math and sciences and like bettering the world, and instead he's just showing that he can beat this game. But really, like, that is helpful, especially when it comes to developing the AI and stuff like that way. So like, I don't think it's just innately invaluable because it is Guitar Hero, but it was impressive. And it's kind of this idea of like that, like having worked so much for this thing and like being able to claim it and say like, I did this thing. And it's like, ultimately you have to kind of be able to step away from this and see that, because this plot, this energy that's going on will have you believing this and missing out on this. And that's the whole thing that it's trying to do. But as long as you let that happen, you're validating it. Like, you're the one that's in control. Like, that's what you're choosing to create. That's on you. Like, that's literally you using your power. That'd be like writing, like having all of the, like you saying that you're a writer and that all you want to do is be able to write a screenplay for a theater show. And then somebody gives you everything you need to write it, gives you all of the best actors that you could ever dream of for it, gives you all of the production, all of the resources that you need at the perfect venue. Like, everything's exactly what you can need, and you don't have to lift a finger outside of just writing it. And then you being like, I just don't know. I can relate to that. I totally get it. And I'm struggling with that myself. So, like, generally these readings are coming out of a personal place, but, like, I know I'm not the only one that experiences the things that I'm experiencing or have experienced. So, like I said, like, even if it is as crazy as, like, there's literally, like, if you have somebody that, like, has just hated you from day one, whether it's since you've been born or just since they met you, and they've always been trying to prey on you, and whether it's that you've actually been preyed on, like, financially or spiritually or romantically or whatever, in this way, like, ultimately there's just this idea that, like, this mindset, giving any of these people, places, things, situations, plans, plots, whatever, power, allows them to take from you this abundance, when ultimately, like, you don't need to worry about any of this. You can just focus on your abundance and it will be yours. And what that's going to take is to become aware within your core, your own self. And part of that, like, we have the roots here, but that's only the attachment to this one specific person, place, thing, idea, situation. When you disconnect from this, you are able to see the bigger picture. You're able to flourish because you're able to actually get access to the things that your roots are supposed to be accessing. Your roots aren't getting access to the right information when you're too closely connected to the situation. And maybe you're too connected to the other people involved, in a sort of way, or like, you know, you're a victim, but there's also so many other people that have been victims, and your concern for them is actually kind of blocking your capacity to be able to represent yourself well. And it's really you being able to represent yourself well that's going to ultimately, like, serve your best interest, or like your argument the best. So I don't know, there's this weird reflection there on these types of things. This has been such a weird reading. There's been a lot of chaotic energy and a whole bunch of weird random stuff that's come up. But it's actually given me a lot. So I hope that that's the same for you. That you've received things from it that have been highly beneficial. It's been a minute, so I will try to do this again sooner. We'll see how it goes. Because yeah, it's been a minute for sure. And obviously I'm a bit rusty, and maybe that's why the energy is the way that it is. I'm not quite sure, because that just was like the least fluid reading I've ever done. But there was a lot of information that I think was valuable, so I'm just going to let it be what it is. We're just going to take that for what it is. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your time. 2.5 hours of me just chatting. I really do hope that it benefits you in whatever ways that you may need. And yeah, that you're blessed this week. Yeah, if there's anything that you need, if you just feel like you need somebody to talk to, just to kind of like backboard things off of, if you want advice, if you need somebody to like pray for you, if you want to just talk some things out, vent about some things, if you're looking for some advice, as long as it's not like financial or professional, that sort of way, but like personal stuff about relationships or family or whatever, sexuality, gender issues, anything like that you're dealing with, any sort of addiction stuff, like you just feel like you need somebody to talk to, if you're dealing with suicidal ideation and you just don't want to have to pay for somebody to care. If there's anything that if you happen to see this and you happen to have watched the whole way to where you're watching this and listening to this right now, and there's anything that you need, feel free to reach out. My email, I will try to make sure that I put in my videos. I will make out, but it's DADJAMN. The letter N is in like Napoleon. IT. Dad Jammit. Is that it? Yeah, dadjammit@gmail.com. You can email me there. Otherwise, I'll try to find, I have other emails, but that's my email for YouTube. I forget to log on to it, so I'm not on it like consistently all of the time. But I will try to be more consistent on it so that I can get the messages there and respond to them. But I just feel the need to say that. So if you're hearing this right now and there's something specifically you've been wanting to ask me or talk about with me, if you want to just tell me, like, I don't even want you to respond, but I need to get this out, like, my inbox is open to you. Again, it's dadjammit@gmail.com. Or if you want to just post your email, or you can find me on, Facebook or Instagram if you want to shoot me a message there with your email or something like that, just to let me know, to get a hold of you. We will chat because this message is for you. I'm here for it, and I'm being told to say it, so I'll be waiting to hear from you. Hope that you're well, that you stay well. Don't you don't gotta fret or be super anxious. Just tell it how it is. And I'll be as patient as possible and understanding as possible. And I will, try to put any sort of personal frustration aside in order to really be understanding from wherever it is you're coming from, whatever it is that you need. I'm not sure who it is that's asking for what, and why this energy is coming to me right now, but I got you. So, thanks again. Bless you, and I shall see you soon.